Halo, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. My name is Eni Fatmawati. I'm from CBI1. My ID number is T2019-60N8. Today I'll let's explain about equivalence and effect of equivalence. Honestly, it's too difficult to understand the content of third chapter by Jeremy Mundai, but I try to look for any video from YouTube, uh, to uh, to help me to help my understanding about the content of the third chapter by Jeremy Mundai. So first, I will explain about Roman Jacobson, the nature of linguistic meaning and equivalence. Roman Jacobsons describe three kinds of translations. First is interlingual, and intersemiotic. With interlingual referring to translations between different written sign system, two written sign system. Then Jacobson decided to focus on linguistic meaning and equivalence. So next, I'd like to explain about what is interlingual, and intersemiotic. Intralingual, intralingual translations is translations within the same. Okay, sorry. Uh, intralingual translations. Intralingual translations is translations within the same language, which involve rewording and paraphrase. The second one is what is interlingual. Interlingual translations is translations from one language to another language. The last one is intersemiotic. Intersemiotic translations is translations of the verb sign by a non-verb sign. For example, music or image. The second category, which interlingual, it seems a translation property by Jacobson. So next, in Jacob descriptions, interlingual translations involve a substitute English message in one language, not for separate unit codes, but for entire message in some other language. The translator, recorder, and transmits message they received from other source. These translations involve two equivalent message in two different codes. So next, I would like to explain about equivalence orientations. So most of translation theories and practitioners agree that the goal of translations is equivalence. So equivalence is sometimes referred to correspondence, but most of translation theories and practitioners do not believe that attaining perfect correspondence at each and every short text or target text level is a realistic goal. This means the translator uh, have to think about what type of equivalence they will prioritize, and also they choose to emphasize the certain kind of equivalence influences other discussions such as procedure and translations unit size, and etc. So next, it's about Export NIDA. Export NIDA is defined two kind of equivalence: normal and formal and dynamic. Formal equivalence and dynamic equivalence. So next, I would like to explain about the sign of the differences between formal equivalence and dynamic equivalence. First is the sign of formal equivalence. First, the TT or target text message, both content and form, should closely match the various short text element. So between target text message should match with short text element. The second sign is the standard for equivalence is equivalence of form, fidelity to short language form or standard. The third sign is formal equivalence is associated with more literal approaches to translations. That's all the sign of formal equivalence. Next is sorry, so crowded here. Next is dynamic equivalence. The sign of dynamic equivalence. First is the dynamic relationship between receptor and message should be substantially the same as that which exists between the original receptor and the message. The second one is the standard for equivalence is equivalence effect is equivalent effect on TT readers, TT or target text readers. The third sign is dynamic equivalence translations aim at complete naturalness of expressions. So in dynamics equivalence should be a complete of natural of expressions. The last sign in dynamic equivalence is associated with freer approaches to translations. That's all my explanations about equivalence and equivalence effect, and also there is Roman Jacobson's explanations about natural linguistic meaning and equivalence, and the last my explanations is about expert NIDA explanations about dynamic equivalence and formal equivalence. That's all my explanations. Thank you for watching my video. I apologize if I have many mistakes in my explanations. I will learn more and more to understand this material. Thank you and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.